Hello and welcome to my video. Thank you so much for taking the time out of your day to watch and learn about self-advocacy skills for children who are deaf and hard of hearing. As you can see, we have some rubber ducks swimming as a group. Very similar to the ducks, you are not alone in this experience. You may have just found out that your child is deaf or hard of hearing. Or maybe your child just got a cochlear implant or a hearing aid. How will your child's day-to-day life change both inside and outside of school? The beauty of self-advocacy is that your child will ultimately become more aware of him or herself and their needs. They can educate their peers and other people who may not be aware of their needs. Self-advocacy means you are not only sticking up for yourself, but you're also being your biggest cheerleader. The first step to self advocacy is knowing what you need and knowing what your rights are. Every child has the right to a free, appropriate public education. The appropriateness means that the child is receiving the care and accommodations or modifications necessary for their own learning and growth benefits. Wow, that was a lot of technical terminology. Should your child vocalize their needs if they are not receiving proper care? Yes. You may be asking, how will they ever know if they are not receiving proper care? Well, let's dive into that by exploring our steps for self advocacy skills. It is important to remember that the adults working with or taking care of your child should know how to best assist them on a daily basis. Depending on the child's age, adults may need to take the role of advocating for your child. You can model those behaviors so that your child can learn about what to do. Over time, they will become independent and they will know exactly which actions to take. Cochlear implants and hearing aids. The younger your child is exposed to self advocacy skills, the better equipped they will be once they are older. When a child is using a cochlear implant or a hearing aid, it is imperative to know whether or not it is working. Your child should learn to identify whether there is a conflict. If your child's device needs a new battery, you can verbalize it by saying new. Or they can use a hand signal, such as tapping their ear. These are just a few examples of ways a child can receive help. Please feel free to utilize any sign of indication with your child. Children who are deaf and hard of hearing deserve to be present in all conversations and interactions with their peers. Families can practice this by developing the confidence to voice different words and phrases. Again, please, or what did you say? Are a few examples of cues for needing someone to repeat things they said. Remember that it's so important to educate others on the fact that it is best if they stand on the side of the person's cochlear implant or hearing aid. So if Johnny has the cochlear implant on the right side of his head, that means that his peers should be walking on the right side of him. Sitting closest to the teacher can eliminate the conflict of not being able to hear the teacher's directions or lesson content. Teachers can rephrase or repeat the words of your child's peers for anyone who did not understand or who needs extra enforcement. This small technique would not only help your child who is deaf or hard of hearing, but it would also help most of the students in the classroom. We can teach our children to get into the habit of facing a person and using eye contact while speaking. Watching someone's lips pronounce each word may assist your child in understanding the conversation. We should encourage our children to have confidence to move or shift their locations in order to have a clear view of the speaker. Remember that advocating for yourself or for other people can be scary. That's just us being honest. But hey, that does not mean you cannot do it because you really, really can. Let's take a moment to practice taking a deep breath in, holding it, and breathing out. This is a very quick and helpful exercise that you can use with your own children at any age. Remember that this can be extremely fun. You can work with your child to become superheroes. You can create a secret language or use sign language, such as American Sign Language, for different indicators that something may be wrong or that something needs to change. The internet is an amazing place to learn new hand techniques or signs. So, where can you start? Remember that you should know what your child needs. Then you can build your own and your child's courage and confidence. Next, you can learn how to express your child's needs and teach others. It's important to repeat some words of affirmation with your child, such as I can and I will. I can and I will are great sentence starters. This is also a great way to start thinking about goals. Remember that young children are still new to the world. Although they may feel comfortable talking to their peers and adults around them, this can be a more difficult topic. Please remember to take it step by step. And here is a school example. On the first day of school in kindergarten, you, as the adult, may want to ask the teacher for the child to sit in the front of the classroom. On the first day of school in first grade, you may want to ask the teacher with the child standing next to you during this experience. And on the first day of school in second grade, you may want to start the question, but then have your child finish the sentence. These are steps that can occur over time rather than in one instance. Thank you so much for tuning into my video. I hope you learned something new or were reminded of some useful tips. Always remember to take a deep breath and never be afraid to ask questions. Have a great day and enjoy.